Sorry, I wasn't expecting... But it is a pleasant image, to be sure. Most pleasant, in fact.
Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're looking at the sweetest and spiciest romanceable characters in Baldur's Gate 3. This will involve spoilers for the game's companions and their individual character quests.
I guess we better get the day on. So much to do, so much to see.
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. The Emperor.
Your salvation. And not for the first time. I saved you before.
In an RPG full of romance options, many players wonder if they can eventually pursue the Dream Guardian that figures heavily in the main story. The answer is technically yes, but given that players craft this Guardian's appearance themselves in character creation, there's obviously a twist in the works. The Dream Guardian is actually an ancient mind flayer named the Emperor, disguising himself to earn your trust.
I was a thrall like any other, but I was fortunate. I broke free and started a new life in my old city.
He has a checkered past that he will tell you basically nothing about unless you force his hand. As you get to know this manipulative figure, he makes a pass at you in a later dream sequence. Select the right dialogue options, and he can switch into his Dream Guardian guise instead of his true form. None of your companions will comment on this one-night romance if you choose to pursue it, which is probably for the best. Halsin.
Just as I hoped they would, more like. The Oak Father has been kind to me this past while, yet I cannot forget the bond we'll forge together.
The Archdruid of Act 1's Emerald Grove made a big impression before Baldur's Gate 3 was even released. He became the star of the preview showcase when his romance scene turned hairy. After saving the Druid's Grove, be sure to flirt with Halsin at the Tiefling celebration. Complete Halsin's requests in Act 2, including taking him along while purging the land of a deadly curse, and you'll be firmly in the Wood Elf's good graces. Halsin practiced the boundless and free-flowing love found in nature, meaning that you can romance him alongside poly-friendly companions Shadowheart and Astarion. With Halsin and another polyamorous companion in the party, the flirty travel banter can get a little wild.
You know, if you and your love ever wish to enjoy the waters with me, I could attempt a Kelpie, or even a porpoise.
Mizora.
Mizora? You're Zariel's asset.
My dumb little stinker. Took you long enough.
On the opposite end of the alignment chart, the half-demon Mizora can make you a fiery offer in the game's final act. First, remember to save her from certain death in an important Act 2 side quest. She'll repay the favor by tormenting both you and your companion Will once you reach Baldur's Gate. Even though Mizora is a conniving lawyer from hell, she is true to her word, offering more than mortal flesh, blood, and bone in a unique supernatural romance scene.
The pleasure of torment. The torment of pleasure.
A few companions will understand why you fell into her clutches, but most will judge you for it, especially Will.
You had your chance and unleashed a wildfire. Nothing left but dust.
Is a dalliance with Mizora worth betraying your most goody-two-shoes ally? We'll leave that up to you. Menara.
The goblins tell me that you extracted a confession from our prisoner. True so. Without your help, they would have extracted nothing but screams and blood.
Baldur's Gate 3's secret evil companion has a surprisingly touching romance for a character whom many players experience as an early game mini-boss. Prior to Patch 5, few players ever got to see this steely Drow paladin's final form. Recruiting her used to mean permanently losing other companions by committing some pretty heinous war crimes. But now, you simply have to use non-lethal damage to knock her unconscious instead of killing her.
You feel her hand at your neck, her lips closing around yours.
Are you ready to give yourself to me?
Menara is a fierce, loyal, and surprisingly wise companion with unique takes on the events of the story. When you cross paths with her again in Moonrise Towers, you can help her heal from losing her home in the Underdark and learn what it means to enjoy life.
Tonight, there will be no voices, no orders, no gods. I belong only to you.
Gale.
My, predicament has become rather urgent. I need a magical artifact to consume. Right now.
Fast-talking wizard Gale is one of the first companions you can romance in Baldur's Gate 3. Simply feed him a few low-quality magical items, and he'll regale you with all the wonders of the weave. His romance scenes are truly out of this world. He has a cute and fluffy Tressum best friend, and he'll gladly sing your praises.
There's something like the anticipation of a kiss, then the pleasure of being cloaked in peace. You are safe.
What's the catch? He has unfinished business with his ex, Mystra, the goddess of magic. While you can steer most other companions away from the domineering influences of their past, separating Gale from Mystra creates more problems than it solves, to put it mildly. Still, if you're willing to help Gale get back on his goddess ex-girlfriend's good side, this romance is a solid choice with a satisfying conclusion.
I want to drink you in.
Will.
Damnable roach!
The Blade of Frontiers is arguably the most well-adjusted companion on your team, which is saying something as he's a disowned prince in thrall to a half-demon. Once Will comes clean to you about his warlock patron, you can romance him by making noble choices in the main story. Eventually, he'll dust off his dancing shoes and treat you to the game's sweetest PG romance. Most romances in Baldur's Gate 3 force you to battle your companion's inner demons, but Will's demon is very literal, so this romance choice is virtually angst-free. Will's character quest is one of the game's most involved, however. Be sure to break his pact with Mizora, save his captive father, and reconcile father and son by tracking down a legendary beast beneath the city. Will's romance ticks all the boxes of a classic fairy tale: dragons, princes, and good conquering evil. Lae'zel.
Abomination. This is your end.
With a sharp sword and an even sharper tongue, Lae'zel isn't exactly the cuddliest companion you meet in Act 1. In fact, her first romantic overtures feel more like threats than invitations. Past her tough shell, however, there's a shocking amount of depth if you continue Lae'zel's romance through to its conclusion. To experience this warrior's touching change of heart, you'll have to support Lae'zel when she starts thinking for herself rather than blindly following the Githyanki Lich Queen.
Perhaps tonight, perhaps later, but I want it all the same. Do you?
Defying Vlaakith involves a difficult optional fight in Act 3 and a slightly tougher final boss battle, but Lae'zel's incredibly well-written growth arc is worth it, even if her romance endings are mostly bittersweet. If you want the happiest possible conclusion to this hidden gem romance, make sure to play as a fellow Githyanki.
Show me.
Shadowheart.
Stop! Not another step! Wait. It's you. I saw you on the ship.
When you first meet Trickery Cleric Shadowheart in Baldur's Gate 3, she won't tell you which god she worships or offer any information about the mysterious artifacts she carries. Turns out, she's not just the quiet type. She has very little memory of the majority of her life. Shadowheart's air of mystery and possibly her useful guidance cantrip have made her the most popular romanceable character in Baldur's Gate 3 as of patch 5.
You didn't pick that by hand, did you? They're deadly poisonous. Joking. They're safe.
To achieve the happiest ending, you have to turn her away from the evil goddess Shar and survive the game's most blatantly unfair fight. The reward? A unique romance in which Shadowheart gets to know herself while she falls for you. Astarion.
I spent 200 years using my body to lure pretty things back for my master. What I wanted, how I felt about what I was doing, it never mattered.
Why romance the diabolical vampire spawn Astarion? The first reason is the sense of danger. In Astarion's initial romance scene, a couple of low persuasion rolls can result in your untimely death. However, there's so much more to this rogue than sharp teeth and the party's best hair. Neil Newbon's award-winning performance captures the complicated process of healing from trauma and abuse with sensitivity and realism. Supporting Astarion's newfound freedom will both endear him to you and intimidate him. If you're more into villains than heroes, Astarion is the perfect choice.
But I know that this is nice.
Unlike other companions, both the good and evil final forms of Astarion remain in love with you. He can either heal and grow into a better person than his abuser, or become a cackling vampire ascendant who has learned nothing. Both are popular options for Faerun's sweetest bloodthirsty monster.
You know, I didn't care for you when we first met, but I do now.
Karlach.
Good to see the two of you getting along anyway. At least one of us is getting a little action.
One of the most beloved characters in Baldur's Gate 3 is a hard-hitting tiefling barbarian with a heart of gold. Metaphorically, that is. Literally, the archdemon Zariel replaced Karlach's heart with an infernal engine. This switch delivers massive power, but over the course of your journey together, you learn that the engine will overheat and kill Karlach unless she returns to a life she hates in the Hells. In a fantasy world where villains often find success, seeing a genuinely good person like Karlach dealt such a bad hand tugs at the heartstrings.
But don't hurt those pretty lips of yours, all right? They feature heavily in my future plans.
Even after all she's been through, Karlach keeps her kind-hearted and vulnerable nature, constantly pushing the player to do the right thing.
Yes!
Her romance is so touching that Larian added a happier ending by popular demand.
I love you too! Oh my god! I've been dying to say that.
Who is your go-to romance pick in Baldur's Gate 3? Leave your choice in the comments.
It's not because, you know, we haven't in a while.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, there's more where that came from.